In this episode, these are the 5 areas that we are going to cover within a day. First stop, we headed to the infamous Blue Mansion. Before we start, a little bit of history about the great man himself. Typical rag to riches story. Poor village boy came from China and made it really big through blood and sweat and eventually built this beautiful mansion. Despite his enormous wealth, which he believes can last him 8 generations, everything is lost within 30 years after he passed away. He passed on in 1916 and the mansion was left to erode. By the way, he has 7 wives when most of us can't deal with just one. These are the pictures before the mansion was restored. The restoration work takes 6 years and it was finally completed in 1996. Blue Mansion has been turned into a boutique hotel since. Blue Mansion has 18 personalized boutique rooms categorized under 4 categories: the Liang Collection, the Ming Collection, the Tang Suites, and the Han Suites. Other than 18 exquisite rooms, he also has a pool and a porch restaurant called Indigo. Blue Mansion opened for guests from 11 to 4:30 p.m. There are 3 guided tours starting from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., 2 to 3 p.m. and 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. Entrance fee is 18 ringgit for adult and 9.50 for child under 12 years old. And the tour takes about 45 minutes. Another thing worth mentioning is that Blue Mansion has world-class tour guide. Sally speaks eloquently and she knows every in and out about Blue Mansion. Blue Mansion has been awarded with the prestigious Asia Pacific Heritage Award for Cultural Heritage Conservation in 2000, the first of its kind in Malaysia. This property is also a hot commodity for movie shooting and drama shooting. The mansion has been featured in BBC's The Travel Show, Exploring Malaysia, Discovery Travel and Living, ESPN and CNN. Some popular movies were shot here too, including Crazy Rich Asians, Indochine, The Red Kebaya, Road to Dawn, and The Blue Mansion. Now you can also book up the whole mansion and live like Crazy Rich Asian for a minimum of 50,000 ringgit a night. Of course, you can share the cost with 35 other friends. They will get you access to lavish welcome gifts, champagne, a Nyonya afternoon tea, dinner, a Guzheng performance and yes, a mahjong session too. Of all the attractions in Penang, I believe this is a must visit in the island. Actually, it's not a planned trip to Peranakan mansion. As we were on our way for lunch at around 12 something, we realized that it may be peak hours for lunch and decided to stop over for tea or coffee to avoid the lunch crowd. Then this green mansion caught our attention and coincidentally, there was a parking right in front of us in a busy street. Hence, we decided to pull over for this green mansion instead of coffee or tea. The entrance fee for adult is 20 ringgit and 10 ringgit for child under 12. Initially, I thought it's a rip-off compared to what we have paid for in Blue Mansion. But once I get in, I understand why. Well done on the restoration and also the collection in the museum is very impressive. It has more than 1,000 artifacts in good condition. A little bit of background about the initial owner of this mansion. His name is Cheong, who was the Capitan China Opera and one of the richest men in Penang in the late 19th century. Probably not as rich, but very similar to Cheong Fatt. Despite being a successful businessman, he is also a godfather of a tribe called Hai San. Apparently, he wiped out his main rival Gihin and built his mansion there. Similar to Blue Mansion's fate? You guessed it right, the descendants screw up everything. Cheong died in 1901 and the mansion was passed down to his descendants. However, the mansion is left to rot. It was acquired by a property developer in the 90s who repainted it green and with over 1,000 Peranakan antiques turned it into a museum dedicated to Penang's Peranakan culture. The moral of the story, no matter how filthy rich you are, your wealth will be gone in a blink of an eye. Enlighten your kids with good values, teach them how to fish. I am pretty sure Thai Buan has been around for more than 70 or 80 years. We call this agile and healthy gentleman Uncle Ong. He told us he's been doing this for the past 57 years, since he was 15. Seriously guys, I don't think many youngsters can match his speed, ability and his passion for work. We got there at around 2:30 and hoping that the lunch crowd has dispersed. But check out the queue. And don't you ask me if the food is good. Just check out this dude licking his finger. And I let you judge. I know it's not something fancy. Not much choice even. But it is something simple, nice, unpretentious and nostalgic. Nowadays, our parents don't even cook this anymore, so it always reminds me of my grandparents. And Thai Buan is one of the must visits whenever I'm in Penang. After our late lunch, it was about 3 something. We have about another 2.5 hours to burn before dinner, as our reservation with Kebaya is at 6 PM. So I recommended my group to go to a cafe named Mugshot. It wasn't a random choice, of course. I have researched about this cafe and I know they serve bagels. I love bagels. By the way, Tristan looked a lot slimmer in Google. Must have been a good coffee, pastries and bagels. Nevertheless, he's still charming, good looking and friendly. Look, they have a wood fire oven. Since this is a pre-war heritage building, it is really long. The setup is actually very unique. You have a cafe on the left with bagels, coffee and yogurt. On the right side you have pastry, and at the back of the shop you have a spectacle shop. And we spent more than 2 hours in this comfortable and rustic environment. And of course we took our mug shots. I would regard Kebaya dining as the most anticipated restaurant for this entire trip. It is not easy to book, especially if you have kids in company. For that reason, we could only have the 6 PM slot. The restaurant is really retro and it is tastefully done. The atmosphere, the ambience, the setting and the music played makes you feel as though you're in olden days Shanghai. Kebaya only serves dinner and it only has 2 seating. You can choose a slot of either 6 PM or 8 PM. Another point to note is that they only do set menu and there's a minimum order of 1 person per set. In a nutshell, Kebaya applies very innovative cooking methods using traditional Malaysian flavor profiles, Vietnamese lightness, Thai spiciness, and traditional French cooking styles. Since there were 4 adults, we pretty much ordered everything on the menu. Menu is pretty straightforward. You just choose your appetizers, 1 protein, 1 greens and 1 dessert. Set menu costs 128 ringgit. If you wish to order more dishes like us, they are going to charge you additional appetizers at 27 ringgit each. Additional main course at 55 ringgit each, additional greens at 27 ringgit each, and additional desserts at 22 ringgit each. I can tell you all dishes look and smell appetizing and taste wonderfully. We finished everything on our plates, including desserts. Since we love it so much, I'm going to show you all the pictures of food which we ordered, with ingredients, rating, and descriptions. Overall, we like the food and the ambience very much. Even our friends from Hong Kong are very satisfied with the entire experience. 2 thumbs up and highly recommended. We'll definitely revisit.